Hello, everyone. We know it's been a minute since we have been on air. Andrew was sick last week, and we both got slammed with stuff at work. Andrew got put into an engineer's worst nightmare, getting locked into a room with other people until the task at hand is complete, and I just navigated my way through the horrors of the contracting world, getting royally by the US government, and took a huge pay cut. Say out loud, insert Patreon plug here. Nailed it. But we haven't been fully absent. Make sure to catch us throughout the week on Twitch, where I go live playing Fallout. Andrew has been playing some Satisfactory because, he's being an engineer again. Now, into the show!
Welcome to Talk About Tatooine. I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan.
And we are twin brothers here to bring you what's new in nerddom and give colorful commentary on our favorite subjects. Welcome to our cantina. Grab a drink and settle in as we set course for realities beyond our own.
Welcome to episode 101, everybody. Today's recording date is January 17th, and this episode will be released on Monday, January 20th. Today, we're going to be discussing the second Darth Bane novel, The Rule of Two. But first, let's begin with our starter questions.
I had a lot of fun thinking of these starter questions. And I am seeing now that it didn't record my notes, so that's cool. So I will have to do that on the fly, which I'm great at doing. I don't go, or pause weirdly at all. What is one Star Wars movie you could rewrite given the chance?
Can I say The Last Jedi? Because I want to say The Last Jedi. I feel like that was the poorest performing movie in the entire saga so far. But what I really want to do is I want to take out all the stuff that makes it kind of a silly movie, and I straight up just want to make it into a rated R Star Wars film. Let's put in some suspense and horror as the Resistance fighters are being mercilessly hunted down. Maybe throw in a few political assassinations, right? Just put some fun stuff in there like that. Either that or I just want the entire movie to be all the stuff we want to see. Like the cool dogfights, like that sick X-Wing sequence in The Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah.
Easily one of the best parts of that entire movie. Large battlefields of crossing laser fire, like in Attack of the Clones. And John Williams going ape in the pit while the characters duke it out with lightsabers. I mean, come on. Star Wars has a few foundational tenets that it can lean on that never fail. And that's what I want this movie to do, is just pull out the rule of cool as much as they can. Seriously, the coolest Star Wars action we have on screen, actually, time to make some people mad, comes from the Old Republic cinematics of the Jedi and Sith fighting each other. You heard me say it, folks. You know it's all true. Have anyone here put your hand down if you do not get a nerd boner every time you watch those. If it is full mast, stay up. You'll see two hands up on screen. Seriously, that content of... Andrew's really upset that I made him do that because that was on the fly. He told me to be more silly during our edits, and this is what you guys get. Seriously, though.
I believe my words were to be 69% more unhinged.
Absolutely. So time to be an HR nightmare and continue with this rant. So, guys, seriously, though, I mean, I went down a YouTube rabbit hole the other day of just watching the cinematics because I was looking for a key few frames that I wanted to put in one of our shorts, and I ended up watching a 20 to 30 minute Star Wars montage of the Old Republic because I was like, wow, this is the coolest Star Wars stuff we have, and it's for the intro of a video game. It's so cool.
And it's the intro for a video game that, in my opinion, isn't that good. Like the Old Republic, I feel like has a cult, like a cult following, but I wouldn't say it's universally popular.
I liked Knights of the Old Republic, but the Old Republic, the MMO version of the game, did not take with me, which is surprising because I love Star Wars franchises, but at the same time, I'm like that's not a type that I subscribe to. I really boiled it down to two things this movie needs to do better: The Last Jedi. Bringing it all back together. They need to talk less, and they need to have more wizard sword fights more.
More wizard sword fights more. It's good. It's a good note.
Nailed that. They need to talk less, and there needs to be more wizard sword fights.
I agree. I think that would be great. No notes. Can I also make some people upset?
Do it.
I think The Phantom Menace needs a full rewrite. For being called the Phantom Menace, it doesn't focus on the Sith almost at all. Like, they're just the bad guys that show up at the end, and it doesn't really go into that political intrigue of what Palpatine is doing in the shadows. if I were to rewrite The Phantom Menace, Palpatine would be the main character and not a side character. It would focus very little on Anakin. I would remove the romantic subplot between Anakin and Padme because we know where it's going, and it weirds me out because she is...
It's still weird.
It still weirds me out. It doesn't sit right because he's what, 13 or 14, and she's... Or no, he's like 11. He's young, like preteen, and she is 18. Like, I think Natalie Portman was actually 18 when The Phantom Menace was filmed, which she has aged so well. She is a delight. But the writing of her character, I think, is weird. It feels wrong to me. I would completely eliminate that. I would get rid of midi-chlorians. I would get rid of most of the scenes on Tatooine because I think they're boring. And I would introduce way more space fights, and I would actually go into more of the political intrigue of the Trade Federation, because in the books and in Legends, Darth Plagueis is orchestrating that entire thing. Darth Plagueis technically is alive during episode 1, and we don't know that unless you read the book. He actually, like, really cool. And this is why I think Palpatine should be the main character. Plagueis dies at the end of episode 1 when Palpatine ascends to Supreme Chancellor. So basically, Plagueis and Palpatine like go back to, their secret office or whatever. They get like super drunk, and then Palpatine just starts using lightning on Plagueis while he's just totally inebriated and starts monologuing over the top. He's like, "You fool, you have made such a blunder. Why would you get so intoxicated in front of me? You have betrayed the ideals of the rule of 2, and now you're going to pay for that."
The whole time thinking, do you guys smell burnt toast?
Do you guys smell burnt toast? There's also some really cool events that happen in the book Plagueis, just Plagueis, which we actually went over in the podcast with the same title. Go back and watch that. I think it's gonna be worth your time.
That is episode. Hold on, going back. Episode 93.
93 people. This is 101.
So lots going on there. I just want to throw out in a note, the filmmakers and George Lucas specifically would like us to believe that Padme is 14 in that movie, which has a bunch of other issues with it that we're not going to talk about today, and that Anakin Skywalker is 9. Yeah, that somehow makes it better and worse at the same time. That means when Padme is an adult, so 4 years after this movie, Anakin will be 13. He will barely be a teenager. And you're telling me there's sexual tension there? I don't like that.
Well, I think, to be fair, they don't really see each other between episodes 1 and 2, which is like a 10-year difference.
Yes.
Like, I think they kind of allude to that. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in so long. I'm suddenly stricken." And then he's like, "Oh, but I've thought about you every day." It's like, come on, man. That's a weird thing to say. Oh, that's so weird.
It's not weird for him to say, and that's not fair.
Because he's the younger one. But it's still like, it's like at some point, if they had acted on their relationship, it would be a crime, according to our standards.
Yep.
But like by the time they actually like start expressing feelings for each other, they're both legal adults. But it's like just barely.
Well, again, keep in mind that Anakin's character, very believable 9-year-old. Very believable.
Yeah.
But like Natalie Portman as an actual adult playing a child, quote unquote, not believable.
It's not believable.
Like, if they did not put this in the notes that they're like, Padme's 14, you'd be like, no, she's in like her late teens or early 20s. What are you saying here? She's a queen.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's one of the few bits of Star Wars lore where I'm like, we can actually retcon that, and we should retcon it, because I think it's weird.
You goofed, guys. You goofed.
We should probably move on.
Thank you, everyone, for watching so far, for all of our shenanigans that we've had. So make sure that you like, comment, subscribe if you guys are watching over on YouTube. Follow the podcast on Anchor, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If for some reason you have not read Darth Bane, The Rule of 2, which came out like 15 years ago or something, some crazy double-digit number, this is a spoiler warning. So this is your chance to eject and get into hyperspace and get out of here. Maybe just yank those earphones right out of the ears and get out. So now we are getting into the episode, and we are going to talk about spoilers. Here we go.
Last we left off, Darth Bane had just pulled the pin on a Force nuke that captured the souls of all Force sensitive in its radius into like a little bubble.
Or a big bubble. You see the art for this, and you're like...
Yes. It's huge. We'll put that up on the screen, probably in a shorts format. So follow us on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. If TikTok's even around in a week, I don't know.
Right.
But it'll be there. It's large and intimidating, and it's like this weird... It looks like a giant bubble of floating mercury. It's how I would describe it.
100%.
It's got big, I want to touch it energy, but also big, if you touch it, you'll die energy.
Yes.
Bane basically just pressed the reset button to all the Sith at this moment because he completely annihilated the Brotherhood of Darkness. He basically gathered them all in a room and then set a bomb off. That is very literally what happened. And then he walked off like a cool guy who doesn't look at explosions and also ends up kidnapping someone? Yeah, so he's a child snatcher as well.
Wait, can we say that?
Quick, call legal! Wait, we don't have legal!
Wait, we're legal!
The Thought Bomb is the most devastating Force weapon to be released on the universe since Nihilus was doing planetary-sized lines of Force dust with the midichlorians of millions. Be like, oh, look at that.
Wow, I'm so awake. One thing that you guys do need to know that will come up actually more in this episode is the Thought Bomb doesn't actually kill everybody. So they basically just straight up genies the entire population of Force users that got caught in the radius. They are all stuck in an orb the size of a minivan. Andrew, you said it best that it looks like a giant puddle of floating mercury. And these people were all trying to kill each other like a minute ago, and now they're all stuck in a Force prison together. It's pretty bad.
Phenomenal cosmic power! Itty bitty in space.
Slight aside, I kind of want to rub the Thought Bomb. It looks so smooth. I'm gonna rub it. Oh no, my boy!
My boy! It's got big I want to touch the butt energy. Then insert the gif of like Bill Hader when he's looking at Pennywise in It Chapter 2, and he's just like, his jaw drops and his eyes roll back into his head. It's like that. Also, don't touch it. One guy in the story does touch the Thought Bomb, the residual puddle of, or sphere of Force energy and literal souls, and immediately loses his marbles. Bane also touches the Thought Bomb because apparently the allure of shiny surpasses all barriers, and he almost loses it too. Because he's so powerful, he's able to like push back against the power of the Thought Bomb, but it is a narrow thing. He's like, oh yes, I'm the last Sith. Let me take a huge risk and slap the top of this thing. I wonder how many Jedi are in here. Oh my god, it's so many!
Every single one of them!
To add to that, though, Bane started having migraines and hallucinations since the detonation. He very literally starts getting haunted by the ghost of Lord Khan, the ruler of the Brotherhood of Darkness, which is so cool and spooky, and I kind of want a Star Wars movie to look like that. Petition for a Bane trilogy? Who's with me?
I mean, if we had to make a Bane trilogy, that would be pretty awesome. If you had to pick a director for the Bane trilogy, who would it be? For all three movies. Obviously, we're not going to do this whole bouncing between directors nonsense.
Yeah, we learned in the sequel trilogy that bouncing between directors is awkward. It feels like mom and dad are fighting, and we want them to be a team. So this is a great question. Let's see. I wrote my notes, put them before you, but then wrote it in response to your notes. So that makes sense. That's cool. I'm glad I did that. I think Star Wars needs a new infusion of dude, I know. I was only through like half a cup of coffee when I wrote this, so I'm just like eyes half closed. I'm like, I got it. This is fine. No, this is going to be good. People are going to love this. I think Star Wars needs a new infusion of creative direction, and I think Jordan Peele would be a great pick. Dude's got range. His role as director in films like Nope, I think would add a great thriller/horror element that could be a great addition to Star Wars. Plus, he has done a ton of writing for other horror projects like Candyman, which I didn't see because I'm a coward, but also more lighthearted, like his fantastically successful sketch comedy show, Key and Peele.
So I went with something that feels a little bit more safe. So, like, if we had to do a Bane trilogy, which I would see every single one in theaters, and just absolutely have a great time. But I think I would maybe stick with somebody who the fans have faith in. So a few titles came to mind. I did have to do some searching because I'm not super great at remembering names of directors and stuff. That's just a thing about me. Some people could be like, oh yeah, this person directed this movie. I'm like, why did you have that piece of information in your head? I'm like, I don't even know. Anyways.
Dude, I feel ya. If the trivia is not related to the lore, I don't know it.
Exactly. One person that did come to mind that I did know their name was Dave Filoni. Very successful in the Star Wars universe, very recognizable. You put his name on a project like this and people would get excited. Some names that were a little bit more unfamiliar to me, but everyone kind of like universally likes these titles, would be the directors for Rogue One and season 1 of Andor. Gareth Edwards does Rogue One, and Toby Haynes directs season 1 of Andor.
I think it's just Hanes. It's just Hanes. Like the underwear. Yeah. He ladies and gentlemen, he is unaliving himself before the comment section can get to him.
Oh, no.
Oh, please continue. Please continue.
Mr. Haynes, I'm so sorry.
Mr. Haney's.
I said it like it rhymed with penis. Heinous. Penis. Oh, no.
Dude, respectfully, what is the matter with you?
I don't know. That was so bad. Toby Haynes from season 1 of Andor. I like their work in the Star Wars universe, so I'd be okay with them moving forward. Please take it away from me.
Okay, back to the thought bomb. My personal opinion was that Bane was way too close to the blast. Think of how a nuclear device has areas of impact. There is the erase everything from existence zone, the burn silhouettes onto walls zone, the remaining shock wave zone, the EMP, and then eventually the massive fallout. I am being a little cheeky, but nukes are the worst thing mankind has ever made. They're awful, so I'm masking that with comedy. Threats to our very existence make for great stories, though, right? That's why I think dragons are so captivating in fantasy context, because in most lore, they are unstoppable killing machines with little to no weaknesses, and if you're lucky, voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, which is a huge plus for me, and in a weird way.
This does so much for me right now.
Real quick to our audience, the current social media landscape is shifting rapidly under our feet, and this is leaving some of our avenues of engagement up in the air. We are at a critical point in our growth of this channel, and if you are listening to this right now, you are awesome. Thank you for engaging. Every barrier or metric on every platform comes down first and foremost to engagement. So thank you so, so much. Viewership has been really unstable with different platforms as people are leaving certain platforms in a mass exodus in real time. We are literally seeing it just like our numbers just plummet on certain platforms, or the threat of other platforms getting banned in the US entirely. If you would like a concrete way to support us, Patreon is the way to go. We spend a lot of our own money keeping the podcast going because we love doing it. Think of our Patreon as a tip jar with benefits. Nothing weird though. Thanks in advance.
We don't have a tier for that yet.
We don't have a foot tier. Thanks in advance. Thank you for your support, and may the force be with you. Now back to the show.
Guys, let's get into the rule of 2. Most of us are familiar at this point with the rule of 2, 1 master, 1 apprentice. Specifically, 2 there should be, no more, no less. 1 to embody the power, the other to crave it. By Darth Bane.
What needed to happen in the Star Wars universe is really that we only had 2 bad guys in the movie, and we wanted to explain why there were only 2. Then we created all these epic stories where there were entire armies of Sith. There had to be a transition point from literal thousands to just 2. So it fell to Drew Karpyshyn to come up with the story. Honestly, he nailed it. An uncomfortable truth is that the Star Wars movies often fall short on lore and exposition, and historically have relied on the TV shows, comics, and novels to build the worlds, or to build out the world that the movies made possible.
Moving into this specific story, Bane, having been the most pissed off towards the Sith, while also drinking the dark side Kool-Aid, basically decides there needs to be a change in management, like we mentioned. However, he does all this nonsense with the thought bomb, then he runs into Xana, who is a child at this point, ends up killing 2 Jedi on Ruusan in a fit of rage. He says, hey, that was pretty cool, come with me, and immediately starts training her. Is that child snatching? No, sort of. Think of it as a spontaneous adoption.
Oh my gosh!
Before... Terrible. It's the worst thing I've said all day, and I made that other guy's name sound like a penis. So...
oh no.
Before trying to get off planet, Bane has a little bit of an errands list to do, and he tells her, I'm going to leave you here if you don't keep up with me. Literally, he's like, you are slow, you're slowing me down, and I need to get places. I have things I need to do, and I would like to be off this planet. She's like, wait, no, I am a child, you are a grown-ass man, I cannot keep up with you. So she tries to force ankle trip him, which he blocks, but is also like, oh, this kid's got some talent. Really impressed. And also, like, totally knocks her on with the Force because he's like, hey, by the way, I'm still a Sith Lord. Don't try that shit. But he's also, like, immediately getting into, like, a proud dad moment. He's like, oh, she takes to it so quick. Like, he's so excited at this point. But also is like, that's disrespect.
He's like, I'm actually contractually obligated to flatten you at this moment because this is not a father-daughter moment. It is a Sith master and Sith apprentice moment.
But also super proud. Knocks her on her butt. I find their relationship a little bit odd because, again, he's kind of making this up as he goes, right? No one has made this dynamic in the Sith so far. And it is really as complete opposite who the Jedi are as far as their talk and their lack of attachment. They create intense bonds between Master and Padawan. Bane and Xana kind of hate each other, but also rely on each other for their own survival and the functioning of their very, very small order. It's hella toxic, is all I'm trying to say. It would be kind of interesting to get a therapist on the show to analyze their relationship. In general, we are still figuring out on our...
In general, we are still figuring out our 2025 guest list.
Oh, like literally, okay, let me redo that. It would be kind of interesting to get a therapist here on the show with us to analyze some of these relationships, but, you know, we're still figuring out our 2025 guest lists. More to come. Like and subscribe, please. Thank you.
While trying to escape Ruusan, the two stumble upon a camp and find a Sith manuscript with the location of the tomb of Frida Nad. Super old Sith dude, crazy powerful. And Bane really only has one objective before leaving Ruusan, so this is like a nice little find before they leave. He's like, oh, good, the quest continues. Because honestly, he probably didn't know what to do next. He's like, well, I guess I'm going to go... It's like, I know I can't be here. This is not the place to be, because the Army of Light is actually still orbiting the planet and looking for survivors, if there are any. And because he left when he did, the Army of Light is now convinced that the Sith Order is eradicated.
Pretty much.
So he goes to leave, and he doesn't share where he's going with Xana, even though by his own admission, he's responsible for teaching her. He begins their relationship by withholding information right out of the gate. In this way, it seems that the Sith are inherently flawed and doomed to failure, which is Bane's entire point for forming the rule of two. The greatest weakness of the Sith Order is that they love betraying each other. They cannot stop stabbing each other in the back. That's what makes Bane's method so genius, is it took their greatest weakness and turned it into their greatest strength. By forcing an inevitable one-on-one, it guarantees that the apprentice has to grow in power past the point of their master's potential. That way the Sith Order continues to grow in power and influence over time. Before, it would be groups of Sith, weaker Sith, taking down a singular master, which was actually diluting the overall influence of the Sith Order. This is why anytime they clashed with the Jedi, they lost. They got really close a couple of times, but they always lost. Bane's methods, for being a megalomaniacal sociopath, that's a hard word to say. Didn't realize I couldn't say that. His methods are weirdly selfless. Like, this doctrine is putting the needs of the Sith Order above his own desire for power.
That is an interesting dichotomy for them to have.
It's weird.
Bane and Xana arrive at the Thought Bomb, and he does the whole scared straight, but kind of like scared Sith bit. He's like, this could be you if you follow the old ways. Threatening a child? Yeah, you betcha. Also, the Jedi who went crazy earlier, totally still alive. Then he attacks them. Xana destroys his hand because she knows, she's like, Bane is a Lord of the Sith. He will absolutely butcher this guy. I'm just going to obliterate his hand so that Bane doesn't kill him. Baller move. Also, this happens to be Xana's cousin. Fun fact.
He will come up later in the story, and it is very tragic. Bane basically tells Xana at this point, let's meet on Onderon in 10 days, see you there, and leaves. She needs to be resourceful, basically right away. Everything in her life is a test after this. Her entire relationship with Bane is going to be Bane testing Xana to see if she survives and is indeed worthy of being a Sith. Xana, kind of new to the whole dark side thing, steals a Republic shuttle after killing everyone on board with a blaster. You know, in stealth missions where you try to complete the objective in the way the game wants, but you mess it up upon encountering your first enemy? That is exactly what happens here. She's like, crap, going loud, boo, 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 boo. She killed the first guy on accident, and then basically has no option other than to eliminate the others from there. Trust us, we've been there before. I, too, also suck at stealth.
She's like, I really need to practice this more. You'll get some practice, don't worry. Bane then makes his way to Duxon, which is the moon of Onderon. I know, like, some people are going to be like, great, more weird planet names. But Duxon's, like, very, like, mysterious and dark-sidey and stuff. So remember that, like, whole, like, hey, it's hard not to touch the shiny thing? So because Bane touched the shiny thing, he starts experiencing some weird force hallucinations, and he crashes his ship. He literally gets in a fight with the air, and he's like, you never catch me alive, you robotic some. And he's just like firing like force blasts everywhere, wrecks his own ship, and then barely survives his crash landing on Duxon. Kind of annoying, because now he's like, man, I don't have a ship and a way to get off here. So this is cool. So he's on Duxon. He eventually finds the tomb of Frida Nad, and then encounters the antagonist of this entire book, some bugs.
That is the worst way. That is the worst and most accurate way of describing it, because these bugs become, I apologize for saying this, the bane of his existence.
So stick with me here. He gets attacked by these bugs, which are called orbalisks. They're not a Pokemon, but it's definitely a Pokemon. So It's actually a parasitic creature that cannot be removed once attached to their host. Now, stuck with two bugs, Bane finds out that Nad's holocron that he also had some bug problems. Orbalisks feed on the dark side and are immune to energy damage. They also juice the person underneath with enzymes for speed and strength. They also grant a healing buff while increasing the ability of the wearer, I guess, to draw on the dark side more easily. These are literally dark side steroid bugs.
With the rage factor turned up to 11.
Which is funny, because now that Bane is all juiced up on venom, I mean bug juice, definitely not the same stuff that makes DC's Bane a hulked out luchador, he is able to do several very, very cool things with the Force. Now, into the Force miracles. So he's able to do three things because he's all juiced up now. First of all, he's able to get rid of the mind goblins in his head.
Mind goblin D's nuts.
Thank you. AKA the Force phantoms of Khan and, how do we pronounce that? Cordis?
Cordis. Yep.
Cordis. So again, because he decided to touch the butt, he got, Force STDs? What are these? He's experiencing hallucinations.
He's got ghosts in his blood.
He's got ghosts in his blood. He's got to get him out, which is funny because they're like, you got ghosts in your blood. You better do cocaine about it. And he's like on the juice. So, it's all coming together.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Drugs are bad. The Force is not real. Okay, so he does all that. He's able to get rid of the phantoms or the mind goblins from his head. Then he walks over to a creature called a Drexel, which, if Star Wars is trying to make me believe that this is not a dragon, I don't know what is, because it describes it as a large flying reptile. And I'm like, that's a dragon. You named it Drexel, it's a dragon. He force dominates...
But actually, it's only a dragon if it has 4 feet. If it only has 2 feet, it's technically a drake.
If I could hit you from 100 miles south of you, I would.
Please don't. I'm fragile. I bruise like a banana and my bones are made out of glass.
Please continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Bane, with his force ball gag in hand, basically gets this dragon to be dominated. And now he's like, okay, I'm going to fly this dragon. He then wraps the Drexel in a force bubble with him on it and flies it into goddamn outer space so he can get to Onderon. He's like, yeah, see that planet over there? Yeah, we're going to fly over there. And he flies over in a force bubble. And it's wild. Again, he could not do any of this if he was not on bug steroids. Nathan, your brain is really on the mind goblin today. Yeah, no reason. All right, this is going to be a great opportunity for us, for cooler heads to prevail. Let's take an Etsy ad break. To all of our Jedi Masters and Sith baddies, take a look into our Etsy shop. Size matters not. Yes, we are small, but we are always looking to grow. Right now, we have a cool customization option for your notebooks, laptops, and water bottles. Guys, I've got mine right here. We have our Dune, Don't Tread Rhythmically, a cutout of Narsil, Imperial logo, Helldiver sticker, and one of my favorites, the scientific method, which is to F around and find out. We're going to be putting more designs up on that shop every month, so make sure you guys check those out. Fun bonus, this also helps us with more future projects as well, so it is kind of like a double whammy. We get more products up on the store, the more we are able to sell. Now, back to the show.
Meanwhile, the Republic disbands the Army of Light because they're like, we have defeated our mortal enemy. There is no reason to have a standing army, which not all of the Jedi agree with. I believe it's Lord Hoth. No, Lord Hoth dies from the thought bomb.
Yes, correct.
Because he basically goes down into the caves and forces Lord Khan, the Brotherhood of Darkness guy, to click off his S-Fest.
Yep.
From the point of view of the Jedi, the only thing surviving of the Sith at this point is a few rumors. And Xana's cousin Darvit, who's still on Ruusan, you remember the guy whose hand she cut off? He's got a name. It's Darvit. That's a fun fact. Through a series of events, the Jedi discover Darvit and bring him to Coruscant. Xana tracks him down and actually brings him back to Tython in an attempt to hide their presence. This actually involves Xana sneaking into the Jedi Temple, and she is not discovered. Insane. So remember how Bane is super sucky? Or no, remember how we said Xana is super sucky at stealth? She basically min-maxed, and she's like, I'm going to get way better at this. And she totally does. Not knowing how to use a VPN or private browser, the Jedi discover that Darvit is missing, and there is a terminal with a hyperspace lane directly to Tython. That's actually the best way you could have put it. It's like, clear your browser. Delete your cookies.
Clear your browser history. What are you doing?
They wouldn't have been able to find her.
This is a classic blunder.
I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but like, she's also really smart. She's incredibly intelligent. She is being taught by one of the most intelligent people in the galaxy, who's not just like force smart. Bane is actually like smart in pretty much every regard. He is probably a savant when it comes to a lot of things. He knows business. He knows technology. He literally builds up like a hidden empire under the nose of the Jedi that Sith generation after generation are able to build off of. She has the training, but she just, I don't know, doesn't clear her cookies, and they figure out that they're going to Tython. But the Jedi are just as stupid because they don't leave a note. They basically take a task force to Tython, including the Jedi whose name is like a little silly, Master Farfalla,
yeah.
He's the pasta Jedi. That's how I always remember it.
Oh, no.
So, Master Farfalla, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but that's what we're going with. He basically takes a strike team of Jedi, including Darvit, to track down Bane and Xana on Tython. They actually don't know that Bane is there, but they do know that that Xana is there. But then they don't leave a note. While this is all going on, Bane is already on Tython, creating a holocron. Pretty cool stuff, he thinks. I'm probably going to do some cool things, so I should store what I know in a big red math rock. The Jedi find him on Tython, and the battle ensues. Johan, the Jedi leading the party, is able to wound Bane before getting killed in action. Xana, needing Bane to learn more about the Force, takes Bane and Derivit to Ambria to find a healer that previously saved Bane named Caleb. It's like big circles. The entire story is just like repeating on itself. Also the fight scene between, I think it's like 4 or 5 Jedi, including a Jedi weapons master, a battle meditation specialist, Lord Farfalla, who was one of the Jedi generals during the Great Sith War, Johan, who is the apprentice of Lord Hoth, so he is also incredibly talented. So it is a 4v2 fight, and the Sith still come out on top. And the reason they actually have to go see a healer, basically find the mob boss's doctor, who also doesn't want to be there, is because at one point the Ithorian who knows battle meditation, he's grievously wounded. The battle meditation drops, and what he does is he grabs Bane's leg and like engulfs him in a force bubble just as Bane releases a storm of lightning and literally electrocutes himself nearly to death. And also, it kills the Orbalisks. He found out a way, kind of not on purpose, almost losing his life in the process, to kill the Orbalisks and kind of free himself of this burden.
So now they're moving to the healer because he's just been electrocuted. There are still some Orbalisks hanging on, but he's been pretty badly injured at this point. Caleb the healer does not like Bane. Upon showing up, he actually refuses to treat him, and because they have run into each other before and knows how Bane likes to do business, Caleb actually did something really sad in this story, and he actually sends his daughter away multiple years prior because he says, if this person ever shows up, you're the only leverage he has over me, and if he hurts you, I will break. So he sends her away.
Yeah, because Caleb is like a hermit in the mountain, and Bane stumbles upon him, I think in the first book, after getting poisoned, and basically forces this guy to heal him by holding his daughter, levitating his daughter above a boiling cauldron of soup. It's like, I'm going to turn your daughter into soup if you don't help me. And he's like, all right, yep, you win.
So he has to make a really hard decision, and Xana basically threatens him under pain, torture, and death, and he does not budge. What Xana does next is pretty brutal. Her most cunning thing in this book. She makes a bargain with Caleb that she will turn Bane in and sabotage their ship so that the Jedi can come get him. Having agreed, Caleb's like, cool, this is awesome. This guy's going to face some justice. This is great. Caleb heals Bane and removes his Orbalisks. Now, keep in mind, Bane is still mostly unconscious at this point.
In a
Xana,
coma, yeah.
Knowing that there are Jedi on their way, butchers Caleb on the request of Bane and breaks her cousin's mind so that he is now a raving lunatic. So Darth gets completely shit on this entire story. Really sucks to be him. Just awful. The Jedi show up at this point. They find Darth with Farfalla's lightsaber, and he's going absolutely ape because, again, he just had his mind broken, and she basically handed him a lightsaber and was like, hey, go nuts with this. Be a distraction. And the Jedi are like, oh, this guy's obviously a danger. Let's strike him down. Xana, meanwhile, is hiding her and Bane using Force Sorcery, a skill that is explicitly prohibited by the Jedi, by the way, so they would never know what to look for. So, and this is also a skill that Bane doesn't really master all that well, by the way, either. The Jedi conclude that the dead body and the lunatic they killed belonged to the rumored Sith, and that they tried to heal themselves with the dark side, knowing you cannot do that. That is against the rules. You cannot heal yourself with the dark side. Looking at you, Scion. So they go out of their way thinking they have just eliminated the Sith from the galaxy. Because they're like, hey, we got him. He had the lightsaber of the Master that was killed. This all makes sense. Everybody's dead. This other person got butchered. Pretty sure we nailed it. Which is kind of lazy investigating because they kind of just high-five themselves and leave, which really sucks. So Bane's like, awesome. Well, he's He says that later, several days later, because he's basically
He's
in a
not
mini
conscious
coma
at this point.
Yeah, he's not conscious. So Bane awakes several days later, surprised to be alive, and not because he thought he was going to die from his own injuries. He thought Xana would have killed him, so he's immediately disappointed him. And Xana informs him that she did not indeed, or that first of all, she did kill Caleb, like he wanted, and broke Darvid. Bane's like one conscious thought was like, you need to start killing people, which you're like, yeah, that tracks. Bane asked why she saved her, with the whole assassination agreement that they made, mutual, eventually you're going to stab me in the back and I should be expecting it. She says this: "One day I will surpass you, and on that day I will kill you, Lord Bane, but that day is not today." She has more to learn. If she were to kill him now, she would be shorting herself out on the knowledge that she still has to gain, successfully following in the spirit of the Rule of Two.
That is all we have for today's episode. We're going to be moving on to the news from the HoloNet. If you guys want to hear the details that we left out, which we did have to leave out a lot of details, you can check out the book from your local library or buy it. It is just called The Rule of Two by Drew Karpyshyn. Highly recommend. I read it pretty often. I wouldn't say I read it every year, but pretty dang close. Let's move on to some news from the HoloNet. Games Workshop over in 40K News had their Las Vegas Open and revealed quite a few new models. If you are a fan of Emperor's Children, this reveal was for you. They revealed multiple new characters, including a resculpt of Lucius the Eternal and a Battle Force box for the Emperor's Children. And I think they also teased the release of the Codex for the Emperor's Children. So if you are a fan of...
How do I say a pervert without saying a pervert?
That's exactly it. I'm like, what's a nicer word for pervert? And then I thought of the nickname for Fulgrim, and I was like, I probably shouldn't say rape snake into the mic. Please bleep that, actually. I already regret saying it.
Got him.
So if you are a fan of the super gross Slaneshi boys, this reveal was for you. They also revealed a single model for the Death Guard, which was like a new captain/lieutenant character. It's called the Lord of Pox. And I'm like, cool. So we're getting something for Korn and Zinch, right? Right?
Nah.
Grasshoppers.
We did get some cool orbital drop units as well for the Imperial Guard.
The Tempestus Scions, yeah.
So that's going to be fun.
Those are pretty cool. Because everyone...
They're going to die so quick.
Because everyone loves an armored human getting dropped from space to the surface of a planet in just a big bullet.
Yeah, I mean, we got Helldivers, we got Space Marines, we got ODST, Spartans, more Imperial Guard. I'm like, it works with it. It works on every level.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Next in Star Wars Eclipse news. Guys, super exciting. Nothing to report. Quantic Dream has yet to release any info on the 4 years plus the cinematic trailer went live. That is it.
Yeah, moving on. The DSS is back online in Helldivers 2 with some serious changes. In case you missed it, the DSS has been reactivated with a major change to the orbital bombardment ability. Before, it was a map-wide bombardment, which was so good at killing Helldivers. It was like playing on Super Helldive Plus, essentially. It's like, this is not a boon for me. It's a bane. It's a bane.
Ha 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 ha.
Now that
your disappointment was more funny.
Now that it's been changed to give Helldivers free access to the 380mm bombardment stratagem. So now you can choose when and where you want to unalive your teammates instead of indiscriminately dying as you traverse the map.
Next on our list, we have some news about Gears E-Day. Going back to the theme of trailers followed by months of radio silence, there has been sparse news on the release of Gears E-Day, the 7th installment into the saga. We do know that John DiMaggio and Carlos Ferro are reprising their roles as Marcus Phoenix and Dominic Santiago. So I guess we are reopening old wounds. Cool. Can't wait to see what this narrative heartbreak for the Coalition has in store for us. Awesome. Additionally, the Coalition has remarked that they are, quote, bringing the monsters back in this rendition of the game. When Gears of War launched, it honestly felt like a horror shooter with the giant spiders that were the corpsers, flesh-eating bats of the krill, and the classic monster in the water that was the Kraken. Good lord, I am such a coward. But I will be ready.
I will be ready.
Andrew wrote the coward part. I'm not a coward. I'm a super coward.
No, you said it. You said it. We're moving into some stream recaps. Nathan, do you want to tell us what's been going on in your Fallout 4 playthrough?
Guys, we've been having a ton of fun playing some Fallout, like just being silly over on Twitch and now YouTube. So we were originally streaming just on Twitch. Then we went to a vertical format as well with TikTok. I'm not actually sure why it was letting us stream on TikTok because we don't have 1,000 followers. So the fact that like I got my hands on a stream key feels kind of sus to me. So we actually moved away from that. Plus, we're not sure what's going to happen with TikTok moving forward. We're still going to post there until it's not allowed, but you guys can follow us on Lemonade as well. It's not as good of an app, but you guys can find us on Instagram and YouTube if you guys are fans of the short form content, which really we post podcast clips covering Star Wars lore, sometimes some news bits, memes, and clips from streaming. So that's really what we post over there. So in Fallout 4, we've mostly been focusing on doing the different endgame quests. Once we get all of the quests done from the main game, we're going to buy the DLC, and then we're going to move those as well. Our goal is to 100% Fallout 4. Once we do, we'll find a new game. But make sure you guys check us out. I'm usually streaming on Mondays and Thursdays with the occasional bonus stream on the weekend as well.
For me, I've been streaming in Satisfactory 1.0 because I'm a big math nerd and I like games that do math and are work related, even though I hate I hate those things in real life. They stress me out. But I'm like, oh, gamify it? Yeah, I'm in. We are in phase 3 of the space elevator, and on our last episode, we went prospecting for oil. I figured out how to switch Nobelisk types and totally didn't panic at all and collected so many slugs. Off stream, I died almost immediately, so we are back at the main base with the plans to link our oil derricks with our main starter base.
Some news on the KOTOR remake, or Knights of the Old Republic, if you don't know that acronym. Originally slated for a release 3 years ago, we have entered 2025 with little news of the remake on one of the best Star Wars games ever made. Various news outlets report that 2025 is the earliest we will see KOTOR, which, in the opinion of this podcast, means a Q4 release. Without a hard release date, we aren't holding our breath. Maybe we will hear something at Star Wars Celebration Japan in mid-April, or perhaps on May the 4th, which Lucasfilm Disney has historically always done something for the unofficial Star Wars Day.
In Star Wars adjacent news, the Dune Awakening MMO, no official release date has been made public other than early 2025, according to their website. This is a third-person MMO bringing us back to Arrakis, where we are mandated to survive, expand, and control on the surface of the most valuable world in the Imperium. They don't even know that it's my Arrakis. My Dune. Will you be joining House Atreides or House Harkonnen if you suck? Will you specialize as a swordmaster, mentat, trooper, planetologist, or even Bene Gesserit? Only time will tell.
In the meantime, don't tread rhythmically. Get the sticker. It's on our shop. We also have some news for DC. Daredevil Reborn trailer has dropped. Oh my goodness, it's a hard TVMA. Whew. Yummy. From what I can see, they are not sanitizing Daredevil, which is great. I think that this is the right move because even though I needed therapy after watching the original Daredevil series on Netflix, now available on the Big D+, it was an amazing story. What is the Big D+?
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. My brain, I was like, Discovery Plus?
The blonde hair in your head must be growing inwards. Yeah, that's fair. Babe, I got us like super romantic tickets for Valentine's Day. It's a story involving the very handsome Anthony Mackie and the man who has aged like a fine bottle of wine, Harrison Ford. Is it Captain America Brave New World? Yes. Yes, it is. Let's go! Brave New World will be premiering on February 14th.
Very excited to see that in theaters. We also have the Thunderbolts coming out May 2nd. This is the...
I didn't finish writing anything about the Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts is coming out May 2nd. That's all we have on that one. I'm such a jackass sometimes. I'm sorry.
You are a jack. I'm glad you said it, because then I don't have to. We got a big announcement from our friends over in Japan, Nintendo, which is the Switch 2 finally got announced, with a sneak peek into the new Mario Kart. I think my biggest thing about the Switch 2 is that it's bigger, because I'm an adult, I'm not a child, but also I have been this big my entire life, and I have to like use claw hands to hold the Switch. It's not comfortable. So I'm really excited that this new iteration of the Switch is just going to overall be larger. The new Joy-Cons look really great. They like magnetically stick into the Switch instead of having the rail, which was super annoying all the time. And then it's got an additional functionality to sort of act like a mouse. Like, I'm like, what's going on with that?
That's weird.
Also, the new Mario Kart sneak peek that they put in there, it wasn't a Mario Kart trailer. It was just a little bit of Mario Kart gameplay that got showed in the Switch trailer, is that there are 24 starting spots. Like, Mario Kart's a great game. Honestly, like, my wife and I...
That's too many.
It's not enough! Somebody give me a star or a mushroom right now! I'm really excited for this. I actually think this would be really fun to do with our patron group. If, like, because we do game nights over on Patreon. One time we did Uno via StarCraft 2, which was really weird, and it was like a blast. But playing games like Mario Party and Mario Kart, even as adults, are really interesting. Honestly, it's the only good way you can drink and drive.
100%. Guys, Andor Season 2 comes out in 3 months. We're stoked. Skeleton Crew just ended. Andrew, give us a, like, 3 words, like, summary on how you feel using just 3 words on Skeleton Crew.
3 words. Surprisingly, liked it.
Okay. Huge thanks to our patrons, guys. Mike, Isaac, David, and Combrew, who's our biggest supporter over on Twitch. We also have some other supporters that are over there as well. Bamboozle Ham, you've been supporting us and pop into almost all of our streams, so thank you guys so much. You guys are the reason we do it, and honestly, you guys are a delight to have in our Discord server with, which our Discord is for our patrons, if you guys didn't put those together. For just $5 a month, you can support us here over at Talk About Tatooine so we can do more awesome things like giveaway, gaming events, and higher quality content. Plus, it just costs money to run a podcast. We spend hundreds of dollars on the software we use to make sure you have a podcast. So support the podcast. If you guys don't have money,
Please.
Watch our videos on YouTube. Subscribe over there because YouTube pays us for watch time if we get to that partner level. Like, comment, subscribe. Do the YouTube things, but seriously, engage with the content. Like it, drop a comment. If you have nothing to say Nathan is a goober. That's fine.
You are 100% a goober.
Because it's accurate 99% of the time. Seriously, if you don't have anything to say, just put it in there. I promise I won't be offended. If 100 people put it in there, I don't know, I'll do something silly. But seriously, if you guys interact with the videos, it drives up our engagement, it pushes it out in the algorithm so as many people can find it as possible. Guys, we love you all, and until next time, may the Force be with you.